She saved a stranger buried in a stone coffin during a storm, desperate, reckless, just trying to help someone when she couldn't save her own dying daughter. The vampire king she awakened offered one wish in return, and she took it without hesitation. What the single mother didn't know, the miracle that healed her child would demand the lives of everyone around them, including her own. The rain came down like nails. Myra's hands trembled on the steering wheel as her headlights cut through the darkness. The radio had warned about flooding on Route 9, but she'd ignored it. She always took Route 9. It was faster. And after 12 hours of cleaning hospital floors, faster meant everything. Her phone buzzed. Another text from Mrs. Chen next door. Lila's fever is back. 1024. Should I call? No, Mira whispered to the empty car. No more hospitals. Not tonight. They'd already said there was nothing left to try. Stage 4. 6 months, maybe less. Her baby girl was 9 years old, and the doctors had given up. Mira pressed harder on the gas pedal. The Dieter sign appeared too late. Water had swallowed the main road, turning it into a churning brown river. She cursed and yanked the wheel left, plunging onto the old forest path she'd sworn never to use again. Not since the stories. Not since Tommy Reeves went missing last spring. But that was just small-town gossip. Had to be. The trees closed in like a fist. Her headlights barely penetrated the sheets of rain. Then, a crack like a gunshot, and the car lurched sideways. The engine sputtered.
Died.
No, no, no. Mira twisted the key. Nothing. She slammed her palms against the wheel. Not now. Silence, except for the rain hammering the roof. She grabbed her phone. No signal. Of course not. The forest swallowed everything, sound, light, hope. Mira squeezed her eyes shut. Lila needed her. She couldn't fall apart. Not here. Not.
Light.
Her eyes snapped open. Through the passenger window, between the trees, something glowed. Not the cold blue of a phone screen, or the yellow of a porch light. This was different.
Softer.
Like fireflies trapped beneath the earth. Myra's pulse quickened. A house? Someone who could help. She pulled her hood up and stepped into the storm. The mud sucked at her shoes as she stumbled toward the light. Tree branches clawed at her jacket. The rain was so loud, she almost didn't hear it, the low rumble beneath her feet. The ground was moving. Mira froze. Through the downpour, she saw it, a massive oak tree, torn from the earth by the storm. Its roots stretched toward the sky like skeletal fingers, and beneath them, in the cavity left behind, something gleamed. Stone. Carved stone. She should have run. Every instinct screamed at her to get back in the car, call for help when she got signal, forget she'd ever seen this. But the light pulsed stronger, and Mira found herself sliding down the muddy embankment. The stone was a coffin. Ancient, covered in symbols she didn't recognize. The storm had cracked it open, and that's where the light came from, a strange luminescence seeping through the gap like liquid moonlight. Myra's breath caught. Hello. No answer. Just the rain and her hammering heart. She knelt beside the coffin, her knees sinking into the mud. With shaking hands, she pushed against the lid. It was impossibly heavy, but the crack widened.
In.
The smell hit her first, not decay, but something else. Old paper. Dried roses.
Snow.
Then she saw him. A man lay inside, perfectly still. His skin was pale as marble, his dark hair soaked and plastered to his forehead. He wore clothes from another century, a long coat with tarnished silver buttons, a shirt that might have once been white. He wasn't breathing. But he wasn't rotting either. Myra's nursing training kicked in before her common sense could catch up. She pressed 2 fingers to his neck, searching for a pulse.
Cold.
His skin was ice cold. Come on, she muttered, positioning her hands over his chest. The coffin was too narrow, the angle wrong, but she counted anyway. 30 compressions. 1, 2, 3. This was insane. He was dead. He had to be dead. People didn't survive being buried in stone coffins in the middle of the woods. But Lila's face flashed in her mind. Her daughter's hollow eyes, her paper-thin skin. The way she'd whispered last week, "Mama, I'm scared." If there was even a chance, even the smallest possibility, that someone could be saved. Mira tilted his head back and breathed into his mouth. His lips were frozen. She tried again. Another breath. Another round of compressions. "Please," she whispered. "Please, I can't. I can't watch another person die."
He gasped.
Mira jerked backward, slipping in the mud. The man's eyes flew open, and they were wrong.
So wrong.
Not brown or blue or green, but burning. Like embers in a dying fire, orange and gold and furious with light. He sat up in one fluid motion, his gaze locking onto hers. Then he spoke. The words were harsh, guttural, a language she'd never heard. Ancient, powerful. Each syllable seemed to vibrate in her bones. Mira scrambled backward, her heart threatening to explode. I'm sorry, you weren't breathing." He blinked. The burning in his eyes dimmed slightly, and when he spoke again, his voice was different. Accented, but understandable. He stared at his own hands, flexing his fingers as if surprised they still worked. "You brought me back. I did CPR, Mira stammered. "You weren't breathing, and I thought." "How long?" He looked around wildly, at the shattered coffin, the uprooted tree, the storm. "How long was I?" His gaze snapped back to her. "What year is this?" "It's 2025. October," Myra's voice shook.
Who are you?
"Why were you in a coffin in the middle of?" "You shouldn't have done that." His words came out hollow, almost afraid. "You shouldn't have saved me." Before Mira could respond, he collapsed back into the coffin, unconscious. And on her hand, the one she'd scraped on the stone lid, a single drop of her blood fell onto his lips. For just a moment, the symbols on the coffin blazed with the same golden light. Then darkness swallowed everything. Mira didn't remember dragging him to her car. Didn't remember the drive home through flooded roads, her mind blank with shock. She only remembered Mrs. Chen's horrified face when she'd pulled up at dawn with an unconscious stranger in her back seat. Mira, what on earth? He was in an accident. The storm, the lies came easily. Too easily. I couldn't just leave him. Mrs. Chun had helped anyway because that's what neighbors did in small towns. They asked questions later. Now, 6 hours later, Mira sat at her kitchen table watching the stranger sleep on her couch. Lila was at school, her last few weeks before the hospital would claim her permanently. The thought made Myra's chest tight. The man hadn't moved, hadn't even seemed to breathe, though she'd checked his pulse twice. It was there, but slow. Too slow. And those eyes. Those burning, impossible eyes.
Her phone rang.
The hospital, asking her to cover another shift. She declined. For the first time in 3 years, she declined. She couldn't leave. Not with him here. "Afraid I'll steal your silver." Mira jumped, nearly dropping her coffee. The stranger sat upright, watching her with an expression she couldn't read. His eyes were normal now, dark brown, almost black. Had she imagined the fire? "You're awake," she tried to sound calm. "How do you feel?" "Alive," he said it like a curse. Unfortunately, he stood, moving toward the window, then flinched violently when sunlight touched his hand. Mira watched as he pulled back into the shadows, his jaw clenched. "You're hurt," she said, noticing the gash on his temple she'd missed earlier. "Let me." "Don't," his voice was sharp. But when she came closer anyway, bandages in hand, he didn't move. The wound was deep, still bleeding. She cleaned it carefully, professionally, but when she looked up to apply the gauze, she froze. The cut was closing, right before her eyes, the flesh knitting itself together like thread pulled through fabric. "What are you?" she whispered. Before he could answer, Lila's cough echoed from upstairs. Mira had forgotten. Mrs. Chin said she'd brought her home early. Another bad spell. She ran, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Lila sat on her bed, small and pale, blood speckling the tissue in her hand. Her eyes were glassy with fever.
Nana.
I'm here, baby. I'm here. She felt him before she saw him. The stranger stood in the doorway, staring at Lila with an expression that looked like pain. Get out, Mira said quietly. He didn't move. How long does she have? That's none of your. How long? 6 months. The words tasted like ash. Maybe less. The stranger crossed the room in 3 silent steps. Mira moved to block him, but he was faster. His hand touched Lila's forehead, gentle, impossibly gentle. Don't. Mira grabbed his wrist. His skin was still cold, but under her grip, she felt something else. A pulse of warmth spreading from his palm into Lila's skin. Her daughter's eyes fluttered closed. The tension left her small body. For the first time in weeks, her breathing came smooth and deep. Peaceful. What did you do? Myra's voice cracked. He pulled away, studying his hand like it belonged to someone else.
Ne signe permanent. She'll sleep now.
No pain. No fear. I don't understand. You saved my life. He turned to face her, and something ancient looked out from behind those dark eyes. That creates a debt. An old debt, bound by old rules. I don't want anything from you. Nevertheless, he moved back downstairs and she followed, her heart pounding. You pulled me from death. The magic that kept me there recognizes this. It demands balance. Magic isn't real. He laughed, a sound without humor. You saw your daughter's wound heal. You saw mine close. You know better. Myra's hand shook. She did know better. She just didn't want to. I grant one wish in return for the life you gave me. His voice was formal now, ritualistic. Speak it, and the debt is paid. This was insane.
Impossible.
But Lila was sleeping upstairs without pain for the first time in months. And this stranger, this impossible stranger, had done that with a touch. Can you? Myra's voice broke. Can you save my daughter? He went very still. Are you certain? A wish like this. Save her.
Please.
She's all I have. Something flickered across his face. Regret? Warning. As you wish. He took her hand before she could pull away. His thumbnail pressed against her palm, opening the half-healed cut from last night. A single drop of blood welled up. He pressed his own cut finger to hers. The room blazed with golden light. Symbols, the same ones from the coffin, appeared in the air between them, burning like brands. Then they sank into her skin and vanished. The stranger released her hand. It's done. What's done? What just? Your daughter will live, he walked toward the door. But magic always demands balance. Remember that. He was gone before she could ask what he meant. Mira stared at her palm. The cut had vanished completely. Like it had never existed at all. The call came at 6:47 a.m. Mira hadn't slept. She'd spent the night watching Lila breathe, steady, peaceful breaths that shouldn't have been possible. The fever was gone. The blood-flecked coughs had stopped. Her daughter's cheeks held color for the first time in months. Mrs. Hartley? Dr. Okonkwo's voice crackled through the phone. We need you to bring Lila in immediately. Myra's stomach dropped. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong.
That's
the problem, a pause. Her latest blood work came back. We ran it 3 times. Mira, there's no trace of the cancer. None. The phone slipped from Myra's hand. By noon, the hospital had run every test twice. CT scans, biopsies, genetic markers. The doctors whispered in clusters, showing each other charts with trembling hands. Dr. Okonkwo kept saying the word impossible like a prayer. Lila sat on the examination table, swinging her legs, more alive than she'd been in a year. Can we get pancakes, Mama? Mira couldn't speak, could barely breathe. She just nodded, pulling her daughter close, feeling the strong, steady heartbeat against her chest. Your daughter will live. He'd been telling the truth. They got pancakes. Lila ate 3 full plates, syrup on her chin, laughing at stupid jokes from the waitress. Mira watched through tears she couldn't stop. She'd done it. She'd saved her. The joy lasted until they got home. Mrs. Chen was standing in their yard, staring at something. Her face was pale.
Mira.
What happened to your garden? Mira followed her gaze and felt ice spread through her veins. The rose bushes, her mother's roses, 20 years old and thriving just yesterday, were dead. Not withered or brown, but gray. Colorless. Like something had drained every drop of life from them overnight. The grass around them was the same. A perfect circle of death, spreading from where the stranger had stood when he left. I don't know, Mira lied. Maybe the storm. The storm was 2 days ago, Mrs. Chen knelt, touching a rose petal. It crumbled to ash. This is something else. That night, Mira found Max. The neighbor's golden retriever lay in the woods behind their property line, exactly where the dead grass ended. He wasn't injured, wasn't sick. Just empty. Like someone had reached inside and turned off whatever made him alive. She buried him before the neighbors could see, her hands shaking as she covered the small grave. Magic always demands balance. By the 3rd day, the dead zone had spread. Trees within 50 feet of her cabin were losing their leaves. The creek nearby had stopped flowing, the water gone stagnant and foul. And the birds had vanished. All of them. Mira started having nightmares. In them, she saw Lila laughing, healthy and whole, and behind her, a trail of corpses stretching into darkness. On the 4th morning, she found him on her porch. The stranger sat on the steps, staring at the gray wasteland that had been her yard. He looked exactly as he had that night, unchanged, unaged, as if time touched him differently. Myra's voice was cold. What did you do? I told you. Balance, he didn't look at her. A life restored demands payment. The magic takes what it needs. You're killing everything around us. Not me. The wish. Your wish, now he turned, and those burning eyes were back. Did you think miracles were free? Mira wanted to hit him. Wanted to scream. You could have warned me. I did, his voice was quiet. You didn't listen. They never do. Stop it. Whatever this is, stop it now. I can't, he stood, and there was something like regret in his expression. The magic has its own will now. It will take until the dead is balanced. A life for a life. Many lives, probably, for one as close to death as your daughter. How many? Myra's throat closed. How many will die? I don't know. The magic decides. It could be animals, plants, a pause. It could be people. The words hung between them like a blade. There has to be a way to stop it. There is, he met her eyes. Kill your daughter. Return what was given. The balance will restore itself. No, the word came out feral. Never. Then others will die in her place. He started walking toward the woods. Pray the magic is merciful. Pray it takes only what it needs and nothing more. Wait, what's your name? Why were you in that coffin? He paused at the tree line. For a moment, she thought he wouldn't answer. Aurelian, the name sounded like whined through dead leaves. And I was buried there as punishment. For making the same wish you did. He disappeared into the trees. Mira stood alone in her dying garden, watching Lila through the window, laughing, healthy, alive. And somewhere in the distance, she heard a woman screaming. Sarah Mitchell vanished on a Tuesday. She'd been walking home from her shift at the diner, the same route she'd taken for 15 years. Her husband found her car keys on the sidewalk 3 blocks from their house. No blood.
No struggle. No Sara.
The search party found nothing. Mira heard about it at the grocery store, where whispers followed her down every aisle. She felt their eyes, suspicious, calculating. The woman whose daughter had been dying and was now miraculously healed. The woman who'd brought a stranger home the same night the forest started dying. Mira? Old Joe from the hardware store blocked her path, his weathered face uncertain. That man staying with you. Where'd he come from? He's not staying with me. He left. Another lie. They came easier now. Funny thing, Joe's eyes narrowed. Night he showed up was the same night everything started going wrong. My cattle won't go near the east pasture anymore. And Tommy Reeves' grave, you hear about that? Myra's blood went cold. What about it? Ground around it's dead. Just like your garden. Like something's feeding. She left her cart and ran. At home, Lila was drawing at the kitchen table. Mira had never seen her so energetic, so alive. Her daughter's artwork covered every surface. Pictures of their house, the woods, the garden. And him. Mira picked up one of the drawings, her hands trembling. Lila had sketched a tall figure standing in the trees, his eyes colored with orange and red crayon. Behind him, dozens of gray figures lay on the ground. Baby, who is this? The sad man. Lila didn't look up, adding more red to a new drawing. He comes at night. He watches our house. Has he talked to you?
No.
He just watches. And cries. Lila tilted her head. Why is he so sad, Mama? Mira couldn't answer. She gathered all the drawings, her heart pounding. In each one, the figure was closer to their house. In the latest, he stood at their window. That night, she stayed awake with a kitchen knife. He came at 2 a.m. Mira saw him through the window, Aurelian, standing at the edge of the dead zone, perfectly still. She grabbed the knife and went outside. Stay away from my daughter. I haven't touched her. His voice was flat, exhausted. I'm just remembering. Remembering what?
What it was like.
Before, he gestured at the wasteland. The magic is spreading faster now. Soon it will reach the town center. Then stop it. I told you. I can't. He finally looked at her, and she saw something that terrified her more than his inhuman eyes. He looked haunted, broken. This is what happened before. With my daughter. I watched the magic devour everything I loved, trying to balance the scales. What happened to her? Your daughter? Aurelian's jaw clenched. The magic took her anyway. In the end, it always takes more than it gives. Before Mira could respond, headlights cut through the darkness. A truck pulled up, and Sheriff Morrison stepped out, his hand on his gun.
Mira.
Step away from him. Tom, this isn't. Now, Mira, the sheriff's voice was hard. We've had 2 disappearances in 4 days. And witnesses say they saw a man matching his description near both scenes. He didn't do anything. Then he won't mind coming to the station for questions. Morrison's eyes never left Aurelian. Will you, friend? Aurelian didn't move. You should leave this place, Sheriff. Take everyone with you. What's coming won't stop for badges. Morrison drew his gun. On the ground.
Now.
It happened so fast. Aurelian moved just a shift of his weight, and Morrison fired.
3 shots, center mass.
The sound cracked through the night like thunder. Aurelian staggered back. Blood bloomed across his chest, black in the moonlight. Then he straightened. The bullets fell from his body, clattering on the dead grass. The wounds sealed themselves, flesh knitting together in seconds. He looked at Morrison with those terrible burning eyes. You cannot kill what is already dead. Morrison's gun shook. What the hell are you? Damned, Aurelian's voice was hollow. Just damned. He vanished into the forest before Morrison could fire again. The sheriff turned to Mira, his face white. What have you brought into this town? Mira couldn't answer, because she'd just noticed something on her front door, a symbol carved into the wood. The same twisted rune that had been on Aurelian's coffin. It was glowing faintly, pulsing like a heartbeat. Inside, Lila screamed. Mira ran, her heart exploding with terror. Her daughter stood in the living room, staring at her hands. In the lamplight, Mira could see it. Lila's shadow was wrong. It moved independently, stretching and twisting across the walls like something alive. Like something hungry.
Nanga.
Lila's voice was small, frightened. What's happening to me? Mira pulled her daughter close, watching the shadow writhe and dance. The curse wasn't just taking from the world around them. It was taking Lila too. They came with the dawn. Mira woke to the sound of diesel engines and boots on gravel. Through her window, she saw 3 black SUVs parked in her driveway. Men and women in tactical gear spread across her property, moving with military precision. She grabbed Lila, who'd slept in her bed, her shadow finally still, and held her close. The knock on the door was polite. Too polite. "Mrs. Hartley? My name is Dr. Cashovern. We need to talk about the man you pulled from the woods." Mira opened the door a crack. The woman on her porch was 50-something, silver hair pulled tight, wearing a charcoal suit under a long coat. Her eyes were sharp, the eyes of someone who'd seen impossible things and stopped being surprised. "I don't know what you're talking about." "Yes, you do." Kasia held up a photograph. It showed Aurelian's coffin, the symbols clear even in the image. "We've been tracking him for 300 years. And you woke him up." Myra's grip tightened on the door. "Get off my property." "Mrs. Hartley, please." Another voice. A younger man stepped forward, dark-skinned, wearing priest's vestments. "We're not here to hurt you. We're here to save you. My name is Father Marcus. We're from the Sanctum of Ash." "Never heard of it." "You wouldn't have. We operate in the shadows, hunting things that shouldn't exist." Kasia's expression softened slightly. "May we come in?" "What we have to say." "You'll want to sit down." Something in her tone made Myra's stomach turn. Against her better judgment, she let them in. 7 of them entered, Kasia, Father Marcus, and 5 others who looked like soldiers. They swept the house methodically, checking windows, drawing symbols on the doorframe with white chalk. "Protection wards," Marcus explained, seeing Myra's expression. "They won't stop him, but they'll slow him down." "Stop him from what?" Kasia set a leather portfolio on the kitchen table, spreading out documents. Old documents, parchment, yellowed photographs, hand-drawn illustrations. All of them showed the same face. "Aurelian. His true name is Aurelian Ashenblade," Kasia began. "Born 1247, died 1289. Except he didn't stay dead." Mira sank into a chair, Lila pressed against her side. "He was a lord in what's now Romania. Wealthy, powerful, and desperate." Kasia pointed to an illustration, a man kneeling before an altar. His daughter contracted plague. The physicians gave her days. So he did what desperate fathers do. He found someone who promised a miracle. "A witch," Father Marcus continued. "One who practiced blood magic. The darkest kind. She offered him a bargain, his daughter's life, in exchange for his. But he didn't die," Mira whispered.
No.
The magic twisted. Instead of trading his life, it took his humanity. Kasia pulled out another document, a woodcut showing villages burning. He became something else. Something that needed blood to survive. The first vampire king. And everywhere he went, death followed. The magic he'd invoked demanded balance. His daughter lived, but hundreds died in her place. Mira felt sick. What happened to her? Kasia's expression darkened. The girl went mad. Couldn't bear the weight of all those deaths. She threw herself from the castle walls on her 10th birthday. And Aurelian. He's been trying to die ever since. That's why he was buried, Marcus added. Our order finally caught him in 1722. We couldn't kill him. He's sustained by the original curse. So we bound him, sealed him in that coffin with every ward we knew. He was supposed to sleep forever. Until you saved him, Kasia said quietly, and made a wish. The room tilted. How do you know about? The signs are unmistakable. The dying forest, the disappearances. And your daughter, Kasia looked at Lila with something like pity. She was dying. Now she's not. But she's marked, isn't she? Strange symptoms? Shadows that move wrong. Lila whimpered, pressing closer to Mira. What's happening to her? Myra's voice cracked. The curse is spreading into her. Using her as an anchor, Father Marcus knelt beside them. Mrs. Hartley, the wish you made, it didn't just save your daughter's life. It marked you as the final vessel. What does that mean? Kasia met her eyes. It means once Aurelian regains his full strength, which he will, feeding on the life force the curse drains, he'll come for you. Your life energy is the key. If he consumes it, he'll break free of the curse's limitations. He'll be able to walk in daylight, live as human. Everything he's wanted for 700 years. And once he takes it, Marcus said softly, you die. And the curse passes fully to your daughter. Mira couldn't breathe.
No.
No, he wouldn't. He's been helping us. He's using you. Cash's voice was hard. It's what he does. He seems tragic, wounded, sympathetic. And then he takes everything. One of the soldiers spoke up. Ma'am, we have movement. East perimeter. Through the window, Mira saw him. Aurelian stood at the edge of the dead zone, watching the house. Cassia stood, her hand moving to a silver blade at her belt. He knows we're here. He'll attack soon. What do we do? Mira pulled Lila behind her. You run, Cassia said. We'll hold him as long as we can. There's a safe house 3 states over. Father Marcus will take you. And if you can't stop him? Cassia's smile was grim. Then pray he kills you quickly. Because the alternative is so much worse. They didn't make it 10 miles. Father Marcus drove fast, the SUV's engine roaring through the empty mountain roads. Lila slept in Myra's arms, exhausted, her shadow mercifully still. Behind them, the sky over the town glowed orange, fire, or something worse. The others? Mira asked. Marcus's jaw tightened. They knew the risks. The road curved through dense forest. Marcus took the turn too fast, tires squealing, and slammed on the brakes. Aurelian stood in the middle of the road. The SUV skidded, fishtailing. Marcus yanked the wheel, but it was too late. They hit the ditch, airbags exploding. The world became noise and pain and spinning darkness. When Myra's vision cleared, Marcus was unconscious, blood on his temple. The windshield was shattered, and Aurelian was opening her door. Don't touch her. Mira tried to shield Lila, but he wasn't reaching for her daughter. He reached for her. His hand closed around her wrist, gentle, but immovable. Come with me.
Now.
I'll scream. They're all dead. Mira, his voice was flat. Empty. The hunters. All 7.
They fought well.
It didn't matter. She looked into his eyes and saw the truth there. Saw the blood on his coat. Please, she whispered. My daughter. I know, something flickered across his face. That's why we're leaving the priest alive. He'll take care of her. He pulled her from the wreckage. She fought, but it was like fighting stone. In seconds, they were in the forest, the SUV disappearing behind them. He moved impossibly fast, carrying her through the trees. The dead zone had spread for miles now. Gray trees, silent earth, the smell of nothing. He finally stopped at a clearing where ruins jutted from the ground. An old church, maybe, or something older. Aurelian set her down carefully. We don't have much time. The moon rises in an hour. After that, the curse completes its cycle. Then what? Then I take what's owed. Your life force. And I become human again. He turned away. Or you die trying to stop me, and your daughter inherits the curse fully. Those are the only paths left. Myra's legs gave out. She sank onto the broken stones. Why are you telling me this? Because I'm tired of lying. He sat across from her, looking more human than he ever had. Tired.
Old.
They told you I'm a monster. They're right. But they didn't tell you why. Your daughter. Her name was Elena, his voice cracked. She loved flowers. Hated thunderstorms. She'd climb into my bed during storms and I'd tell her stories until she fell asleep. He looked at his hands. The plague took her slowly. I watched her waste away. Listened to her beg me to make it stop. Mira thought of Lila's coughs. The blood. The fear in her eyes. The witch promised me she'd live. She didn't lie, Elena did live. For 3 more years. But every day, people died. The villagers. My servants. Her mother, his voice dropped to a whisper. Elena knew. Children always know. The guilt destroyed her faster than the plague ever could. The curse took her anyway. No, Aurelian met her eyes. I did. I couldn't bear to watch her suffer anymore. So I gave her nightshade and her favorite wine. She fell asleep in my arms, and I told her stories about flowers and sunshine. And then I carried her to the tower, and he stopped. Couldn't finish. Mira felt tears on her cheeks. I've wanted to die ever since. Tried everything. But the curse won't let me go. It needs a vessel, someone who made the same bargain, bound by the same desperate love. He looked at her. That's you now. And if I consume your life, I break free. I become human. Mortal. I can finally end. And Lila, the curse will be hers. Completely. She'll become what I am. Live for centuries, watching everyone she loves die. Unable to escape, he leaned forward. But there's another way. What way? You can end it. Forever, his voice was urgent now. The curse can only be broken by someone who understands its weight. Someone who made the wish willingly. You have to wish for the curse itself to end. All of it. No more bargains.
No more blood magic.
No more stolen lives. What happens to you?
Ed.
Finally. Truly, something like hope flickered in his eyes. What happens to you? He hesitated. The magic will take payment for breaking it. Your life, probably. Maybe more. And Lila?
She lives. Free. Human.
The curse won't touch her. Mira looked at him, this monster who'd saved her daughter, this father who destroyed himself for love. I can't, she whispered. I can't leave her alone. Then I'll take you in an hour. And she'll suffer for centuries. That's your choice, he stood. Think carefully, Mira. Some prices are worth paying. He walked into the shadows, leaving her alone with the moon rising overhead. Red as blood. The gunfire started at moonrise. Mira heard them before she saw them, the remaining Sanctum forces, dozens this time, closing in on the ruins. Floodlights cut through the darkness. Orders shouted in tactical formation. Target acquired. East side. Aurelian materialized beside her, his eyes blazing. They brought reinforcements. More foolish than I thought. An explosion rocked the clearing. Holy water grenades. Father Marcus had called them. The liquid burned where it touched Aurelian's skin, but he barely flinched. Stay down, he commanded, pushing Mira behind a collapsed pillar. Wait, but he was gone, moving through the Sanctum forces like wind through wheat. She heard screams. The wet sound of tearing. He wasn't holding back anymore. Then she heard something else.
Mama.
Myra's heart stopped. Through the chaos, she saw Father Marcus stumbling into the clearing, carrying Lila. The priest was bleeding, his vestments torn. She wouldn't stay in the car, Marcus gasped. Kept saying you needed her. A Sanctum soldier raised his rifle at Aurelian's back. Marcus shouted a warning, but it was too late. The bullet hit. Aurelian staggered, and in that moment of distraction, 3 more hunters converged. Silver chains wrapped around him, burning into his flesh. He roared, an inhuman sound, and the chains began to smoke. Lila screamed and ran toward him. No. Mira lunged, catching her daughter. Baby, stay back. He's hurting. Lila struggled. Mama, they're hurting the sad man. Aurelian's eyes found them across the battlefield. And in that gaze, Mira saw everything. His daughter's face, Elena's final moments, 700 years of grief condensed into a single look. He wasn't a monster. He was just a father who'd made the same choice she had. The chains tightened. Aurelian fell to his knees, smoke rising from his skin. Dr. Kasia Vern emerged from the smoke, silver blade in hand. It ends tonight, she said coldly. One way or another. She raised the blade, not to kill him, but to carve symbols into the ground around him. A binding ritual. They were going to bury him again.
No, Mira whispered.
Then louder. Stop. Kasia paused. Mrs. Hartley, get your daughter out of here. He told me how to end it. The curse. All of it. The battlefield went still. Even the hunters stopped, listening. There's no ending it, Kasha said. We've tried for centuries. Because none of you made the wish. Mira stood, pulling Lila close. Only someone bound by the curse can break it. He told me. I have to wish for the curse itself to end. Father Marcus stepped forward. Mira, if you do that. I know what it costs, she met Aurelian's eyes. Saw the question there. The hope. I know.
Nana.
Lila's small voice cut through everything. What's happening? Mira knelt, cupping her daughter's face.
Memorizing it.
The scatter of freckles across her nose. The way her left eye had a fleck of gold. Baby, I need you to be very brave.
Can you do that?
I don't understand. You're going to live a long, beautiful life. You're going to grow up strong and healthy. You're going to fall in love and have adventures and do everything I dreamed for you. Myra's voice cracked. But Mama can't come with you.
No.
Lila's fingers dug into her arms. No, you promised. You promised you wouldn't leave. I know. I'm so sorry. Mira pulled her close, breathing in the smell of her hair. But some promises are bigger than the ones we make. Some things are worth the price. She looked at Father Marcus. Take care of her. Please. Marcus nodded, tears streaming down his face. I swear it. Mira gently passed Lila to him. Her daughter fought, screaming, reaching for her. Each cry was a knife in Myra's heart. She walked to the center of the ruins, to where Aurelian knelt in chains. The symbols from his coffin glowed beneath her feet. You're certain? His voice was barely a whisper.
No, Mira laughed wetly.
But I'm doing it anyway. She took his chained hands in hers. Felt the curse thrumming between them, ancient, hungry, endless. I wish, her voice strengthened. I wish for this curse to end. Forever. No more bargains. No more blood. No more stolen lives. Let it be finished. The world exploded in light. Golden fire erupted from the ground, consuming the symbols, the chains, the ruins. Aurelian screamed, but it wasn't pain. It was release. 700 years of suffering burning away in holy flame. Mira felt the magic tearing through her, pulling her apart thread by thread. It hurt. God, it hurt. But through the pain, she saw Lila's shadow. Stable, normal, human.
Free.
Thank you, Aurelian whispered, his form beginning to dissolve. You've done what I could not. The flames consumed them both. And Lila's scream was the last thing Mira heard. 5 years later, Lila Hartley was 14 years old when she returned to the forest. Father Marcus drove her there, his hair grayer now, his hands steadier on the wheel than they'd been that terrible night. He'd kept his promise, raised her, loved her, but they both knew this day would come. You don't have to do this, he said softly as they pulled up to the old cabin. Yes, I do. Lila stepped out, her mother's journal clutched to her chest.
The forest had changed.
Where death had spread like a disease, life now exploded in impossible abundance. The trees grew taller, their leaves greener. Flowers she'd never seen before carpeted the ground in riots of color. The creek ran crystal clear, and birds sang from every branch. The cabin was exactly as they'd left it, preserved somehow, though 5 years should have rotted it to nothing. Lila walked through rooms full of memories. Her mother's coffee mug still sat by the sink. Her drawings, those terrible pictures of the sad man with burning eyes, were pinned to her old bedroom wall. She'd been so angry after that night. Angry at her mother for leaving. Angry at the world for being so cruel. Angry at herself for being alive when everyone else had died. The therapist said the anger would fade. They were wrong. It had just transformed, become something quieter, deeper, understanding. She found what she was looking for behind the cabin. The path her mother used to take through the woods, now overgrown but still visible. Lila followed it, Marcus trailing silently behind. The clearing appeared after a mile. Where the ruins had been, where the final battle had raged, a single tree now stood. It was massive, trunk as wide as a car, branches spreading like protective arms. Its bark was silver, gleaming in the afternoon sun. And its leaves,
Red.
deep crimson, like blood or roses or the final light of sunset. Lila approached slowly, her heart pounding. At the base of the tree, 2 names were carved into the silver bark, though she'd never seen anyone carve them. Mira Hartley Aurelian Ashenblade. Beneath them, in smaller letters. They paid the price so others wouldn't have to. She comes here sometimes, Marcus said quietly. In your dreams. Lila nodded. She'd never told him about the dreams, but somehow he knew. Dreams where her mother sat beneath this tree, smiling, telling her it was okay to be happy. Dreams where a man with sad eyes stood beside her, finally at peace. Do you think they're really gone? Lila asked. Marcus was quiet for a long moment. I think they're wherever people go when their suffering ends. When their debts are paid. When love finally wins. Lila knelt, placing her hand on the silver bark. It was warm.
Alive.
She could feel a heartbeat beneath it, slow, steady, eternal. I'm doing okay, Mama, she whispered. I got into the art program you wanted. Father Marcus says I have your talent, she smiled through tears. I'm not angry anymore. Well, not as much. I understand why you did it. I think I would have done the same thing. The wind picked up, rustling the crimson leaves. For just a moment, Lila could have sworn she heard her mother's voice in it.
Proud.
Loving.
Free.
She pulled out her sketchbook, the new one, full of bright colors and living things, and began to draw. The tree. The clearing. The way the light filtered through red leaves like stained glass. Marcus sat beside her, patient as always. What will you do now? Lila's hand moved across the page. That's what she wanted, right? For me to live. Really live. Not just survive, she looked up at the tree. I'm going to make it count. Every single day. She'd be proud of you. I hope so, Lila added detail to the tree's bark, trying to capture how it seemed to glow. Do you think the curse is really gone? Forever?
Ido.
The sanctum hasn't detected any blood magic since that night. The disappearances stopped. The deaths stopped. Whatever your mother and Aurelian did, Marcus smiled. They broke a cycle that had lasted centuries. They sat in comfortable silence as Lila drew. Above them, a bird landed on one of the branches, a cardinal, bright red against the crimson leaves. It sang, clear and sweet. More birds joined it, then more, until the tree was full of life and song. Lila finished her drawing and signed it at the bottom. For Mama. Thank you for everything. She left it at the base of the tree, weighted down with a smooth stone from the creek. As they walked back to the car, Lila looked over her shoulder one last time. In the dappled sunlight, she could have sworn she saw 2 figures standing beneath the tree, a woman with tired eyes and gentle hands, and a man who no longer looked sad. They were smiling. Then the light shifted, and they were gone. But the tree remained, silver and crimson and eternal. A monument to sacrifice. A testament to love. A reminder that some debts are worth paying, and some endings are really beginnings. The forest had healed. And so, finally had Lila.